this beautiful scene. This is what I'm going to have a go at today. It's a lovely village in Bedfordshire called Radwell, and we've got, of course, what strikes you first of all is this lovely thatch, very old buildings, 1600, 1700, something like that I imagine. But I've got to keep these nice darks of this hedge, the green. I've got rather a lot of green in the foreground, so I have to try and get some texture in that and see if I can get that lovely summery sky with those clouds. I think I'm going to leave the cars out. Actually, they're, I don't know, I'll have to see how I go. They're very problematic doing cars. It might be a challenge actually, just to see if I can get that shape in. We'll see how we go. Anyway, let's start with, I think we should put a nice wet on wet sky this time. I think I'm going to wet that up and then drop some colours in. And I've got to try it. And this cloud here, can you see the shadow under it? The big shadow here, and these shadows, and how they go smaller into the distance. This is what we call aerial perspective. Things are a little bit smaller, the clouds here, but this one has got a lot of bright. The sun's coming from this direction, so there's an opportunity for me to put a few shadows here under the eaves and along that hedge, which will come on the road, and under here and under the eaves of these houses here. So let's have a go at that. You'll see I've sketched it out fairly detailed actually, so I think I'm going to do a fairly light colouring in of these to try and vary the tones, and it's reasonably accurate actually. So, but let's start with the sky. I think I need some clean water though. That's not a... I'm just going to wet this right down over our buildings. It doesn't matter because they're going to be darker anyway. And there are trees here, and in the far background there's a bit of a hill, so I must try and get those in as well. So you can see that. Got enough water on, I think. A little bit more. It's a fairly warm day. I'm painting in my studio. But it will dry fairly quickly. So let's get on and get a nice blue going. I think I'm going to use some cobalt blue today. Make a nice puddle, remembering of course it's going to dry a lot lighter. I've heard various figures regarding the percentage it dries, but that depends on the paper conditions. Let's go with this. I want to preserve some areas of white for the clouds, so let's got the paper tilted. somewhat, about 30 degrees. So let's do that. And then with a slightly drier brush, I can soften some of those. The sky is always lighter in the distance, generally anyway. But it's wet. I'm going to see if I can put a bit of shadow under this one. So I'm going to get a little bit of red into my blue mixture and a little bit of violet as well, and a little bit of raw sienna. Let's get some of that. It's looking a bit too blue. Oh, that's a bit better. Step up that a little bit, I think. This one here. A few. Bits here. Right, let's leave it. Great danger with watercolour. Going back into colours can get very strange runbacks or cauliflower shapes which you may not want. Right, okay. Let's get a broad sweep of some greens in though. So we've got this glaring white paper, making it difficult to judge the relative tonal values with all that. So I'm using a little bit of Viridian. I think I'm going to get some Viridian going here. But I'm going to put a little ochre with it as well to knock it back a little bit. Don't want it too green. Summer when I took this, so right, sweep this in using a mop brush which holds a lot of water. I can use the body of the brush, the belly of it, and get a bit of a texture from the paper showing. Right, let's leave that for the moment. Although having said that, there is a fairly darkish band going along here. So let me step that up a bit with a bit of blue, making my green a bit darker. little bit of umber perhaps. Yes, I think that will help. I can see where this is being mowed actually, so I'll try and sweep in a slightly different tonal value there. Leave some lines there. Yes, I think we can do that. This will help give us some linear, help draw our eye in, a little bit of perspective there. Little tracks. Right. Let's leave that for the moment. Along here I've got the roadway, so I'm going to put a little bluey hint of blue, bit of purple, give me a sort of greyish bluey grey colour. The road. Swings around here by the end of those cottages, so let's leave that. And then get in this big dark mass of a hedge here. So again, I'm going to try and mix up. Well, on this element here, this front element, this has to be quite dark. So I'm going to just put that in. I'm going to drop in a little bit more blue into that. Bit of ultramarine. Bit of hookers. Yes, that's a bit better. Actually, in my reference photograph, it's barely reading as green because it's so in the shadow, but I'll just go with this. That's a bit better. Gives like this. Yes, it goes right down into the front of that building there. Let's leave that there for the moment. Along the top it has a much lighter springy green, but while I've got this dark colour green, this hedge came almost up to the eaves of that thatched cottage there, so I'm going to just pop that in there. Like that. can also see this elements of this tone in this tree here. And on the front of this chimney here, it's covered in ivy. And we'll do that. Yes, it comes down on the side of the building there. Right, I think we'll stay with that. But while I'm at it, I've got a little bit of ochre with my green can come along here. Give me something a bit lighter. Just catching the sun here. Right, and then I'll change, put a different brush here. Got a flat here. Let's get something a bit yellower in along the top here. So we had there. Right. Okay. Now we need to, along this little section there, greens and weeds growing up along the edge of that wall. And let's put a mixture of green in there. And then also we have a hedge. Yes, just south of this is also green. How far down does that go? So it comes right out actually, projecting the road there. Right. We've got green here as well. Again, varying it. Little bits of ochre, umber, raw sienna. Got to keep your greens as varied as you can. Oh, is there? I've got a tree here in the distance. I think I can get a little bit more green in there. You don't want it too vivid in the distance because it will bring it forward. That's not what I want to do. I want some sense of perspective. Right. So as I said, we've got hedge there, green, and also all around here. It's all a mass of greenery. We could go with that. Let's get a different brush. I need something that's a little bit more controlled, so I can dab in some different areas. Bit stronger there. And that is a white. There's a little bit of a white fence there, I think, kind of picket fence. Let's try and step up my green a little bit. A bit darker, greener. Let's give a bit of iridium. Some of them are... I need to get this darker in that phase because the sun is coming this way. So along here it's a little in the shade, a little darker. And then we've got dark. Yes, it comes right down to this element. Right, and then I'm also going to try and show some variety to give some shape. If you have it all the same tone, it looks like a slab. It's only by putting some shaded areas in that it takes a shape that the viewer can recognize. So let's get back to that. We've got, as I said, trees in the background on the hillside here. So let me try and suggest it to them. There they go a little bit, but I must keep it a little bit bluer in the distance. Let's put a smidge of blue so we can smudge them out. Right, let's get a very pale sliver of green out there. I think I could make my green a little bit darker in even this hedge. On there. Got a green along here. Hedge still. This needs to be a lot darker, this hedge. It's quite vivid. So I'm still trying to keep a linear or perspective on it, so it's slightly higher the nearer to us, and then goes down a little smaller as it's further away from us. Tidy up this edge. Use a bit more umber now. This was a nicely cut hedge, nicely trimmed, so I better do some credit to the gardener to try and make it a little bit more readable, showing his work. Right, and then this is the yellow part of the top of that hedge. Right, okay, let's leave that for the moment and try, and then we want to put some colour in here in this thatch. A different tone, I've got to contrast it a little bit there, a little bit different there. So let's have a look at the reference. It's a sort of grey, bluey grey tone. So let me think. Yes, I think we could something like this. So vary my colours. I want to try and get some of the Thatcher's decorative detail in some point. For the moment, I'm just going to go with this gentle wash. I've got to have darker on that side of the chimney because it's in shadow as well. So let's be fairly careful with my line, with my roof line there. Right. Okay. Well, I've got a little darker tone. I can just put in that roof line there of the building behind, which is sticking out. Or is it attached? No, I'm wrong. It's just this part of this house. It's just an extension. It's just a vernacular building. How this has changed over the centuries, I imagine. Let's just get something in a bit darker along here where we're at it there. There's a line along here which is the stonework. I'm just going to get some ochre. Oh, that's a bit too yellow. It's a delish. put some texture in a little bit later. This building, this extension here is actually white, or light, let's say light, but I don't want it glaring, the white, so I'll just give it a little shaded colour there, some neutral tone, and then we could get on and do some of the other roofs. I'll keep this one a little redder. There we are. Doesn't matter if you leave a few lights from the paper. That's one of the attractive features of watercolour, actually. Can add a little sparkle to it if you wish it, of course. You don't have to follow exactly. After all, this is a painting we're doing here now. If you want absolute accuracy, then you can stay with your photograph. This is a little bit of artistic license to really choose. You take from your reference what you wish. So you're trying to do a good painting, or a painting that satisfies your artistic ambitions anyway. So now the other thatch, again, we've got to get contrast with this. So let's just go with this. Right, this one colour. And then this one here, further, let's make that a little darker. Yes, that'll do. I've got a bit of umber, a little Payne's grey. See what we've got there. Raise that tree line up, that roof line up a little bit. There we go. Right. And this is much darker here. This, okay, put this in. I want to put a bit darker just here, because this chimney stack is casting a shadow. So we'll do that in a moment. Let's just get the basic shapes in. And this part of this garage extension, let's change the colour again because we want contrast. That's a little bit too dark, so we'll just wipe off the brush a bit and wipe it in and wet it in there. Okay. I think I need to make certain of our roofs a good deal darker, actually. I think I'm going to make that one a bit darker. Right. Just give it a little bit of a grey, darken it, a bit of Payne's grey there, and give some darker touches to it. When it's wet in wet, it bleeds, so you get a diffuse colour. Right, and we can darken this a bit too. What have we got to the left? Yes, we need to put something in this front of this building here. I think that's a little bit of ochre. Well, that's a bit bright. Let's tone it down a smidge. Yes, that can do that, I think. Rightio. This house here actually has below this windows, there's quite a sort of yellowy element. Certainly each side of that. So probably that's very bright at the moment, but as we said, it tends to dry a heck of a lot lighter. So I think I'm going to just lift a little bit. Use some of it in this wall that we've got here, like a dry stone wall. Work that in. Right. Then we rest of that porch. What do we do with that? I think there's some greens obscure obscure a bit of this porch. And let's get a bit of my hookers and drop in here. Right, how are we looking? Now I need to have something fairly subtle in the front of this, because that was certainly not white, but yes, lighter here. Let's give it a little pinch of yellow. We're getting the sun this side. This element is catching it. And right, okay. We need a little bit of shadow though. So I need a slightly darker tone. And you can make nice shadows with crimson alizarin and ultramarine. You want a really striking shadow, but I don't think I need that at the moment. I just want to have a little under there. Under there, I need to pay some attention to these shadow areas as we go, but I think we needn't worry too much at this stage. But while I've got a suitable colour, I might as well give it a go. So let's go back to that shadow area, this right hand side here. Actually, this chimney stack here is casting a shadow like this right over. That could do with being a bit darker, I think. Sometimes you have to exaggerate to make it read. So I'll do that, I think. Now this big roof here, oh yes, we can go for some umbras, I think, in that, see what we can get. Yes, I think that can do us. So we can step up that dark area there. So let's cast a shadow from the chimney here. This is much darker. Line there. But anyway, let's get back to easy to get distracted. There's no particular order in which you've got to paint, actually. You can dodge around doing different things. You notice at that particular time. For instance, now I'm doing I need to emphasize the direction of the sun is coming right to left, so these areas are a bit darker. There's a chimney there, let's finish that. I've got a light side here. Let's tidy up on them shortly. But it's back to this one, which I think do that. Right. There's some little structure there. I want to try and preserve. Right, and the front of the building is also in shadow, so let's darken up our mixture a little bit so I can get contrast with this roof. You won't see it very well until I darken it up like this, leaving the window there. Yes, I'm going to do this. The other element of the building. Right. To try and get these thatchers, they're beautiful thatched areas, and these under here, it's all dark. It's cast in the dark there. And this, I've got thatcher's decorative elements to it. Like that. All the reeds, all the fine work they put in. Now, what goes to the left there? I've got a big white area there. I think it's more hedge. So let's get some thing to green. How dark is it? Not too dark, I don't think. Just vary it. Okay. Along this, I need to cast the shadow out here. How shall I do that? I think I'll get a mop brush and create some shadow colour. So I'm going to put some blue. I'm going to go with a conventional way to create some shadows anyway. The way I do it, you can all do different ways. think sometimes a slightly purpley, bluey mixture can be a little bit more convincing to the viewer. So let's go with that. I think we should make it a bit darker though. So add in a little bit of Payne's grey to my mixture there. It's much darker hedge than I've actually got, so now it's a little bit drier, we can dab in some different mixture. Right, now what about the face? Well, there is shadow actually under here. So while I've got this mixture here on my brush, that's casting quite a shadow over the face of that building there. And perhaps we could darken up that shadow as well, cast by the eave of the thatch there. What about all this here? What are we going to do there? I think we decided there were some little lightish greens, so let's see if I can create something bright. So how do we do that? Got some lemony green. Yes, I think I could live with that. Right, okay, let's leave that for the moment. Right. Let's have a look now. I think perhaps I need to put some texture in here, and this is too white. So we need to clean that off, clean our brush off, and sweep something in there to retain its lightness, but not glaring as it is there. Right, that's done it. That's pushed it a little back. But this here, I need to introduce something a little bit more readable, so a little bit more texture. So I've got this little brush here. This is a 9 flat. Number 9 flat. So let's think about this. It's got to be a darker tone, but I want to keep it fresh. So let's go a bit of raw sienna. I think it's got a slightly yellowy. Yes, I think that's not so bad. Yes, I think that's reading a bit better there. And if I just bring along a bit of dry brushwork here, might suggest some of this brickwork that we've got. And I think I'm going to use it here as well, just to knock back the brightness. It's just too bright, so we'll go with that. Okay. Some greenery there. There's a picket fence there, so I want to try and preserve that. So greys there. Pull that back a bit. Right. Now let us think for a moment. I think if I try and get some more details in. So let's get back to that little fine Chinese brush and see if we can step up some of the detail. For instance, we need a little bit darker under some of these eaves. So mix some Payne's grey up, some umbers. What we haven't done, of course, is the windows. Let's see how we're going to do that. Well, let's get that eaves under there first of all. Under that roof line there. Window here. Just dab them in. And these windows are just reading as, in my reference anyway, just black square or dark square. Don't use straight black in your watercolors usually, or that's the view some people have, because it will kill your paintings very quickly, really. A bit of a window there poking up, and we've got windows here. Right. You can do lots and lots of detail. You can keep on and on, but you've got to be careful not to overwork them. If you overwork, it suddenly, it shows. It just takes the edge off. It's strange as it may appear. think, oh, the more I do, the better it gets. It's not necessarily the case. Right. This needs more shadow under there. Oh, that eaves casting on the building there. Can pick this shadow. This is casting here. And under the frames, wood frames there. Well, we need to get some more detail in with the with a few darks, because we haven't got all our windows in. So I notice I've got to get a couple in here. Just checking my reference. We've got, yes, I've got a window here as well. You've got to get that in. We've got them here. And also we have, I need to darken up that little porchway. The hint at the door there, I think, might be a good idea. And this has to be a lot darker, I think. Over here, we've got a window here and here. Got to darken that porch up, I think. Got windows on the other side here too. Windows here, that house. Right, that edge, I'm going to do it a little bit higher, that window raised up a little. Right. Let's think we've got to darken up now. It's a bit drier. It's a good idea to wait until your paper is a lot drier before you put in the fine detail. Rightio. This dark there. Put some more definition into our wall here, our dry stone wall. Right. Now, this wall actually has got some stone there, texture. We can emphasize that a little bit. And this, let's get some tone in there, something fairly light to help that edge. And I need to bring this along here. And I want to put a window in there. The other side of that porch. Do I see it? Not really, I don't think. Let's just hint at something there. There's that porchway. It's obscuring what we have there. Let's put a bit of hint at the pathway along here. Something a bit yellowish. Let's get something there. Okay. And we could, let's get some nicer yellows along the top of the big hedge here. That's it, we need something like that to give us a little bit more light. And this odd flecks of light caught in here on the top of this wall and in here can give some yellows and quite a pronounced bit of yellow actually on top of here. Let's go with that. It comes down like this. Right. Let's emphasize that shadow side there. Perhaps we should put a bit of textural interest in here, because it's all looking a bit flat. So we can dab it in like this. Now, if I look at detail, I could put that window needs a bit darker, I think. If I can pick that up. And these on that edge there. Right. Oh, and just off here there's there's a window there poking through. Bit of a building here too. Right, I think, have we done enough? Should we do more? There's a little bit of something there. hint of our aerials here. Right, we'll leave it there. Got a bit of texture on that roof there. Should I have a little texture on there? I think yes. I know. Looking. Right. I think we need to. This comes out here. That roof line. The thatch is projecting here. Could vary the greens a little bit more. Certain areas I need to sharpen up the dark. Because without our dark, by contrast, you can't see the really light ones that we need. Right. It's really quite a slab of green actually, so sometimes I'm reluctant to do it in case it gets to look muddy. But we must have some dark. Now the other thing is, what about some texture to our greens, to our grass here? How best to do that? Using the side of my brush. This paper has got some texture in it. It's not. I want to try and emphasize a little bit of the contour here by brushing in the direction of the fall. It's raised up a little bit there, then rolls down here to the lower part of the village. And it's just scratch a bit more in here. And we've got some, this is falling away to the road. There's a bit of a slope there. So if I and try and suggest that. A slightly different tone, so we can feel that it's falling away a little bit. Do a slight suggestion of some grasses. Yes, that's a little bit darker. And should I put a white line down there? There is a line actually along this, on the road there. It might help draw our eye in. Right, let's have a go at that then. Let's see if I can get a nice thick mixture of Chinese white. Actually, with this white, I'm wondering, should I put some little highlights in places? I could do a little bit there, catching light on that edge there. Emphasize that a little bit so it contrasts with the shadow which is over that window. And also over here, a little bit of this house has got some white structure there, and we need to step up that bit of picket there, which I rather lost in the process. Put a few lights in the ground there. But I think you're largely done. Actually, there's just a little white catching here, catching the sun. Yes, let's get back to that road. So I'm going to make a thickest mixture. See if we can suggest it a little like that. Yes, let's leave it at that. There actually is a little chimney behind here, which I'm not showing, so I better do that. And I could step up the shape of that chimney. It's not a little pot on the top, not showing so well. Let's get some little bit of red, light red, And that little chimney pot there. Let's put a little dab of ochre, of terracotta colour in there. Some change of tones in our wall, actually, just to try and make it read. Now, should I put some roses in front? This cottage here often has a lovely display of roses, so I'm going to use a little bit of artistic license and put them in, because I can't resist putting a little dab of crimson alizarin, or, oh no, cadmium red, I think, will probably suit our purposes better. Yes, it's usually this one, I think. Got the roses. So let's go for that. There we are. That will do. Also, on this margin there was a little bit of brickwork showing, so let's get just a hint. Let me just be careful how I'm reading that. Yes, it's just a little smidge of on there. A little bit of a brick colour there. And we've also got one on this chimney. Let's do that. Add a bit of red to that to make it interesting. Out in the distance there, you could just see a little bit of a cornfield. So, should I go for that? If I can do that. Let's darken this up a bit, I think. Yes, let's put a bit of yellow, see if I've got some Naples yellow here. We're a long way from Naples, that's for sure. But I can hint at that.